love and give me shelter, shelter. Simple life, it's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love and give me shelter, shelter. Yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the We2r Liberians Movement Platform, your distinct and dynamic platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. Again, this is your one-on-one platform. The platform is in the business of manufacturing, not manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people. This is another edition or episode of the We2r Liberian Movement Podcast, where we educate, cultivate, and empower the socially and morally conscious youth in Liberia who are ready to tackle societal injustice. Today, I have with me in studio one of the preeminent voices of our time. He's no other but Mr. Ansu Dwalo, who is actually the founder and CEO of the please correct me if I'm wrong, the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund. That's correct, right?
That's correct.
So welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight. And it's truly an honor. I'm excited again to have a conversation with you. To take off, I'd like you to pretty much introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about this Diaspora Equity Fund and what inspired you and others to create this.
Well, welcome to the audience. We're excited to be on. Every time we got to talk about Liberia, it gives me great joy. My name is Ensu Opa Zina Bulakai Dwalu. And that's my full name. Over the last 2 years, man, what inspired me? It's a great question. Over the last 2 years, I've done some business in Liberia for about 10 years. And I ran an operation for some time. And I understand and I saw how the extent to which the country was digressing. And I've already been thinking about what am I going to do to find a way to transform the country. It is okay. Sometimes we take a little business from here and there, and we try to help the narrative in the country, but it doesn't work. So I decided to say, you know what? I have to put something together that is going to at least try to transform the country in some fashion. And I decided over 2 years, I've been speaking about this stuff. And eventually I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to spend the money. I'm going to spend the time and I'm going to set up the organization. And I will take the organization to my people and say, listen, we have been blessed by Jehovah God himself to come to this country. Literally every other country out there, this is how they did it. So everything I'm doing, nothing is new. This is how they've done it. So what we are going to do, we're going to organize a corporation here in the West to make sure they're regulated on Western laws, to make sure we bring some credibility to the issue. When what we did was we registered the business and we brought it to the people. The goal is to find a way, my brother William, to find a way that those of us in the diaspora to organize our resources so we can have a direct impact in the country. That is the goal. That is the aim. The goal overall is to create massive amount of jobs across the country, primarily. Primarily is to make money for our shareholders. Secondarily, to create jobs in the country. Tertiarily, it's actually to find a way to create a middle class and expand the Liberian economy. To do diaspora influence, we have to make our money work where we control the narrative in the country and where the narrative is not exclusively controlled by people that have no vested interest in the country. So that was the whole aim, and that's why the organization was founded, and we will continue to push until people get the message that we have to do something.
That's an amazing vision, Mr. Ansu. I love that you talked about the initiative and how it ties directly into creating a long-term economic empowerment. But as you know, many young Liberians, especially those who are not to a large extent connected to the diaspora, may not fully understand the concept of share ownership and how investing in Liberia could make a difference. Could you explain to us what share ownership means and how it works in the context of the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund?
Oh, good question. Excellent question. Look, One of the issues that we will continue to do, not just to talk, but to educate our population so they can understand how other people did this. Number one, share ownership is poor resources. And I want people to understand there is no organization, there is no corporation in the West that was begun without share ownership. Now, it can be a few guys coming together. I want you to think about share ownership in the context of Susu. But what they do it, nobody to eat. They take the Susu money and they build something larger than themselves. And as the organization make profit, everybody who are part of that Susu, they eat. So they don't take the Susu and give it to one person. What they do it, they take the Susu money, they found a business venture, they invest in that business and they create a Google. They invest in the business, they create a Facebook. They invest in the business, they create the largest fishing industry. They invest in the business, they build skyscrapers in the country. So share ownership is only part of a business in order to grow in an environment that you can pass on to your children, but primarily that will improve your society. So the aim here is to improve the society. That's what share ownership is, yeah.
Thank you very much for explaining that aspect, because I know that those were questions, or that was one question that was, really coming fast my way, and I wanted to make sure you clarify. And I hope the audience or our listeners out there understand what share ownership is. And that leads me to another question. Now, it feels like, partnership between the diaspora and those of us on the ground in Liberia now. I know there are many challenges back home, from infrastructure gap to political instability, and also show that the road hasn't been easy for the fund. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face so far, and how have you been able to overcome them since you started
I'll be
leading?
frank with you. We've been very fortunate. The only challenge we're facing so far is some of our people have a little bit of difficulty with the online banking thing. So a lot of money. In fact, right now we are returned, not me, but the bank has returned a little, almost $50,000. Yes, well, we've been running just for a week. We have cataloged 25,000 that I've posted to the site. So, but most of the people that I tell them, don't worry, we will get to you. So we are trying to improve the platform, our website, where the payments. So currently we have Zelle, we have bank-to-bank transfer, and we have mailing it in, and you get wire. Now, we are discouraging the wire because Bank of America charges a front end and a back end fee, and we don't want to pay that back end fee. It comes in around $15. We don't want to pay it. So most of the people money that I return, I told them, don't worry, because we will still get to you. I'm encouraging people, if you have a Bank of America anywhere you are, you take the account number, you just walk into the bank. You can also deposit the money that way, and then you take your receipt, and then we will update you in the system. We will verify that everything went through. So the only difficulty we've been having, a lot of money is being returned, because most of the credit unions don't have Zelle. I won't say most, a lot of the credit unions don't have Zelle. So when people attempt to use the Zelle, it doesn't go through. One thing I will advise them, first, store the number in your phone so Zelle doesn't see it as a foreign number. And then when you extract that number to send, it is recognized. So gradually, the money being returned is too much, but we will get to all those people. Yes.
Wow. So it sounds like a lot of hard work, Mr. Dwalu, but it's inspiring to hear, and know how you're tackling those challenges. Now, looking ahead, what are some of the key goals for the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund in the next few years? Now, the next question that will follow that will be, how do you envision the impact of the fund on Liberia's future?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer that first question. I want you to ask the first question again. I want to answer that and take my time to answer the second one.
So the first question here is, what are some of the key goals for the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund in the next few years?
Excellent. So I will encourage people. The website is pinned. Go to the website. You will see our vision. You will see our value system and the vision for the operation. Now, what is the goal of the Liberian Diaspora Corporation? I want economic influence in the country that is controlled by diaspora Liberian, an economic influence that is going to reorient the country towards the direction of development. This is the primary goal. Now, obviously, primarily, we have to make our shareholders money. That's our primary goal. But we have a secondary goal, and it's a much bigger goal. And that goal is massive employment across the country. This is our target through job creation, through small-scale manufacturing, through startup of new businesses, through promoting current entrepreneurs in the country. And on another level is to build a Liberian middle class. And on a fourth level, to get Liberians from the diaspora to transport themselves back into the country, to be domiciled in the country, where we can infuse some knowledge back into the country. This is the ultimate goal of the corporation. And we intend to have the Liberian Diaspora Bank. We intend to have the Liberian Diaspora Hospital. We intend to have the Liberian Diaspora University. We want total influence of our country through enterprise. This is the ultimate goal.
This is amazing. And I like how you respond to these questions. Seems like you came ready,
Yeah.
to let your people know exactly what you're doing. Now that will lead me to the next question here of how do you envision the impact of the fund on Liberia's future?
This is what I want you to understand. I'm not going to tell you the Singapore story. I'm not going to tell you the Chinese story. I'm not going to tell you the stories from Germany after World War II. I'm not going to tell you about the Marshall Plan. I'm not going to tell you about all of that because maybe sometimes some of us cannot envision it because they are so developed. I'm going to tell you about the Ghanaians. Our brother, they're close by. In the 1980s, I'm a 1977 born. I'm going to tell you something. In the 1980s, they came to our country. They were dirt poor. Over the last 20 years, what the Ghanaians have done, they've massively educated the population from Britain and from America. They form enclaves of economic development towards their country. And what they have done, they have gone back to Ghana. They start a charcoal factory. So instead of cutting the trees down, they take the coconut husk and they make charcoal out of it. This is the impact I'm telling you about. What the Ghanaians have done, the young men and young women out of Britain, out of the US, they went back to the country. They built real estate across the country. Now Ghana got Airbnb comparable to those in Britain. What they have done, they have moved back to Kumasi and they become professor at Kumasi University, the University of Ghana as Lugang. That's what they have done. So the intent of the corporation is to have Odualu go back to the country and be domiciled in the country. I will go and teach to LU. I might be going and teach at Tubman University. I might teach a class over there. I might go to AME Zion University. So we are infusing impact back into the country through entrepreneurship, through ingenuity, through learning skills across the board. Now I can take my brother William out of here and say, listen, my man, what you making in America? My man, I make 150, 120. My man, listen, we can pay you the same money. We need you to come down to be director of our pepper production division that we are exporting to Korea. So the entire goal here is to transport Liberian back into the country in a professional way. That's the ultimate goal.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So that's really powerful, and so now that'll actually lead us to ask another question. But just before that, is about. It seems like this equity Liberia Diaspora Equity Funding is more than just a financial investment because
Correct.
Just listening to you, I think it's about transforming the mindset of an entire nation. And so before we wrap up, I know there's more questions coming, but I also would like to ask, what can they do to start driving change in their own communities? Because it's something that you want to do, even if they are just starting out with small businesses. How can they, to a large extent, and how they too can drive change in the country, other diaspora?
I will tell you this, Brother William, and I'll be frank with you. Some people might take this out of context, but it is the reality. I'm a kind of person, I don't know how not to say the truth, even if it's direct. And some people will find it offensive, but I have to be real with you. It is extremely impossible to drive change in extreme poverty. The people on the ground cannot drive change because they are literally at the primal level. They're still looking for food, clothing, and shelter. Their immediate concern is trying to drive in a change. Liberia needs leadership. So the only way people can drive change on the ground, we have to come in, we who have been blessed a little bit, and say, listen, change can be driven through employment. As we employ them, we can reorient their thinking through that employment to be able to get them to drive change. So this is part of my strategy. I posted a strategy page on the website. Take a look at it and the way we intend to do this. Look, when we were in Liberia, our capacity, our mind thought differently. Not because we were stupid, but because the condition and the environment under which we grew up was entirely different. Even here in America, people that grew up in poorer environment, their thinking is entirely different compared to people that grew up in affluent locations. So the goal here is to get into the country, provide employment, and through that employment, say, listen, it is not okay to born 15 children outside. You stick to one woman, you build a Liberian family, will build a stronger community. But you cannot just say that in your mouth. You got to give the man a job, you got to give the woman a job, and you got to create structure. Through the cooperation, we can create that structure. That's the way we drive change.
So then, thank you very much. But then there's another question I would like to ask you. I'm going to pivot just a little bit. What's your background? Because it seems like you're very knowledgeable when it comes to entrepreneurship and business and things of that nature.
Well, my background, I've worked in finance for the last 25 years. I studied finance, undergraduate finance and economics at the University of Massachusetts. And my first graduate study was at Providence College. I studied financial markets and institutions. I have another graduate certificate in global business from Southern Virginia University. I have a master's in innovation and strategy from Southern Virginia University. So that's my background educationally. Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. Well, you've been putting in the work all over, well balanced. So then answer another question, Mr. Dwell, I'm sorry. You don't have a problem with me calling you?
No, any question, brother.
All right. So then historically, there have been initiative, maybe not similar to this, but to a large extent, somewhat synonymous to what you're doing. And trust is a major problem. And that's something that I want to kind of now pivot to so that we can talk about. Especially given the past challenges in Liberia. How do you address concerns from potential investors who may be hesitant to trust a new initiative like the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund?
Mr. William, this is a necessary question that must be answered fully. You mentioned that people have started this before. It was started under, it's not similar, because what people did before, somebody called it susu, somebody eats that susu, somebody started a club, somebody eats that club. This is a registered, incorporated business in the state of Massachusetts and on the federal laws. We are guided by corporate law here in America. One of the reasons that I'm concerned and the reason why I registered this business here and I made it an incorporation was the very question that you've asked regarding trust. Reporting of the corporation will be done to the state of Massachusetts and the federal government. This is not beyond a hosting. Every single receipt of every single thing we do, whether in Liberia or here, will have to be reported here and made public. The reason for that is because I understand the issue of credibility. It can make a lot of Liberians coil away from investing the money into somewhere. And I understand that. But I want people to take me in totality, Google my name, what I've done, see if I've done anything that will smell my name in a way, and I don't have any inkling or whatsoever. But I want people to understand that I will be heavily regulated here in the state of Massachusetts. We will be heavily regulated here in the United States. We will report everything here, and everything will be made public. There is a reason why we publish everything, because we want people to believe and trust what we are doing. This is important.
Thank you very much for your response. Now, that will bring us to another question. One thing I've noticed is that many young people in Liberia are unaware of these types of opportunities like share ownership and investment. Correct. So what kind of outreach, because we want people to also be educated when it comes to this. So what kind of outreach or educational efforts are being made to raise awareness about the importance of investing in Liberia?
Thank you very much. And the question you're asking for instance, here in America, where we are, even in Europe, this is also true. For every $1 a corporation raises, it costs them anywhere from 10 cents to 50 cents to raise $1. In fact, for some nonprofit, it will cost them 90 cents for every dollar they raise. One of the things we cannot do a lot of, I will go to every Liberian show there. Brother Williams, I thank you very much for actually inviting me on. And those of you that are listening, I'll share to almost 20 platforms, share the show, have people come in and ask some questions in the end. We will go to these various shows. A lot of brokerage firms have started reaching out to me because they see the money growing. Charles Schwab, Fidelity, they say, we can raise the money for you. They cost a lot of money to raise this money, but we don't have that kind of money. So what we are going to do, there will be town hall meetings across America, across Europe, across Australia. As we raise more fee, our first hall has been on schedule out of Lowell, Massachusetts. Everywhere we go, it will be a black tie event. black tie event because I want this top level professional, because we have to put our mindset in that area of development, in that area of raising money, in that area of economics. So I want a black tie event. So we'll go to Philly. We will go to Minnesota. We will go to North Dakota. We will go to North Carolina. We'll go everywhere. And we will present this case to them because I want this to be grassroots. One of the things that I push for is I tell you, look, minimally, I want each Liberian in America, in Europe, wherever you are, to buy a minimum of 10 shares. There's a reason for that, because I want us to spread the ownership of the corporation amongst ourselves. I don't want one person to have to control. So the goal here is we will advertise as much as we can. We will go to churches. We will go different places to be able to send this message out. And one thing that's happening, brother, whether you know this or not, a lot of people are recruiting themselves. This is like, it's like a wave. Oh, Mr. Dwalo, in my community, I went to my church. They're self-recruiting and sending this message out there. So this is where I know we have no doubt. In the first 1 week, we have over 70,000 United States dollars coming. I could not believe this stuff. And the money is continuing to climb. If this money will not return, we will have over $70,000 in the account right now as we speak in less than 1 week. So we are raising this money gradually, and we're going to get there. We're going to get there through grit, through tenacity, and through an effort to see our country change.
Awesome. That's really awesome. So again, I want to thank you for coming. For those of you who have just tuning, you're watching the We2r Liberians Movement platform, the platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are certainly not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. As you can see here, we have with us Mr. Dwalo, Ansu Dwalo, who is the founder and, I'll say CEO of the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund. Also, we can say Liberia Diaspora Corporation.
Correct.
The numbers out there, the website's out there. At the end of the show, we're probably just going to entertain as many questions we would say. So the line will be open. You can call in, asking additional questions. But then we'll come back. There's a couple more questions. I'll say maybe we'll have more questions because we're only about 23 minutes into the program. We're going to give you an hour. So we still have a little bit more time to go. But now, looking beyond financial investment, how can the diaspora and young people in Liberia contribute to this movement in other meaningful ways, such as knowledge sharing or mentorship?
One thing I would say to our brothers back home, I know someone say, "Oh, Mr. Dwalo, I really love the team. I get money. Don't worry about it. Be receptive to it. This is a contribution. I don't want you to only see your contribution in terms of monetary value. I want you to see your contribution that if the corporation comes to Liberia, come in and become a good worker. Come in and don't try to break it down. Come in devoid of any envy and jealousy. Come in knowing that if this succeeds, you may have a permanent employment in the country. So even here in the West, that's why I tell people, and I'll paraphrase Dr. King. He said, listen, if you can walk, make sure you crawl.
Yes.
If you can crawl, you run. I forget the quote, but you get the quote. You know what I mean. And I'm going to say this to you. If you cannot buy 20 shares, buy 10 shares. If you cannot buy 10 shares, buy 5 shares. If you cannot buy 5 shares, buy 3 shares. But no matter what you should do, you must buy a share. The share is not for me. It's not for you. It's for all of posterity. It's beyond us. Look, I'll say this. I don't know what city you are in. I'm not too far from Boston. Every city that was built globally, there was commitment, there was blood, there was sweat, there was toil. Somebody did something for something to happen. And in Liberia, we all have to do something for Liberia to happen. This issue of always trying to run away from home before we can get a decent life, I'm guilty of it. Most of us are guilty of this because this is the only thing we knew. But in order to change that we can solidify our presence in the country, we must build up a viable society that we can leave for our children. This takes grit. And we need everybody to hand on deck to be able to do this.
Perfect. Again, I'll pivot back and forth. I want to ask another question, and it has to do with the gap between those of us in the diaspora and Liberians in Liberia locally. How do you, besides with the diaspora, the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund, a corporation, how do you intend to bridge the gap? Because we have people, for example, in the diaspora who would say you're a little bit more educated, they will have more financial resources, to easily be a step ahead. So how can we reconcile that?
I want to dispel a myth, and I believe it's a myth. Um, there are some pockets of this that is true, but in totality, it's a myth. This belief that Liberians back home, some of them may not entirely accept, it's because there are few Liberians that will go home and they behave in certain fashion. But most Liberian home, if you're fair to them, you treat them with dignity, they will receive you. Any way you look at it. When we bring jobs with respect and dignity, I don't think we're going to bridge any gap because there is no distinction between me and anybody back home. I understand what you're saying. Economically, there are Liberians that are here a little bit better off, but there is an obligation when you're better off. I'm not saying you must take your money, you give it to anybody from free. But the obligation is this. You have to utilize that money in a way that elevates the community in which you reside. So I think the more we start elevating our Liberian community, elevating our brothers and sisters back home through economics, through the job provision, to the structure, to the order, we will merge beautifully. There will be no ambiguity in terms of whether there is a bridge to be a gap to be bridged, rather.
So, Mr. Dwala, you sound like a believer. And so why are you so passionate? Why is it that you have this conviction that this is going to work without doubt? Do you
Yes,
have any doubt
no, none.
that you'll have some obstacle along
Yes,
the way
I have
in
no
your journey?
doubt. The reason why I
Why?
have no doubt, the thing is, I've run a company in Liberia, my own personal operation for 10 years. The Liberian economy, the Liberian market, the Liberian communities in the country, they behave in certain fashion because certain things are lacking. The reason I have no doubt because Liberia is ripe for the picking. It's ready for this. It's hungry for this. Here's the reason why. One thing I do in Liberia sounds crazy, but I love to do it. Sometimes I get in my pickup. I love to drive pickups in Liberia. I will go and find a parking spot and say, "Hey, Omar, I'm parking my car. Coming by here." I will take the front seat of a taxi, and I will just sit in the taxi as if I'm beginning. I'll pay you. Just drive around, drive your taxi. That I'm not here, and I listen to my people. And so now we drive 2-3 hours. We got Moria just one road, right? You just go in a circle. We would drive 2-3 hours, and I my people take me back. And the reason why I do that a lot because I want to listen to my people. And you
Right.
sit in the taxi, you listen to them. This is all our people want. I'm talking about close to 99% of them. This is what they want. They want respect, dignity to the job provision. They want security, the same thing you and I want. They want a family structure. They want the rule of law, and they want a decent community. When you talk to every single one of them, primarily they want employment. And they believe through employment, most of this can be taken care of. It can bring it upon itself. And they want a responsible government. So through the cooperation, when we get to the country and we start reorienting the minds of our people to the job provision, to expanding the Liberian economy, they would not only be receptive of us, they themselves will protect us. I'm getting call from as far. Let me tell you a story. A guy walks from Riverside, and he came from Riverside. When you heard me speak on Spoon Network about this, he took a car in the middle of the rainy season from Riverside County. He took $100. If you want, I will send you the picture so you can post his picture. He took $100 US. He wrapped the $100 US. He came looking for me in Morovia. He could not find me.
Wow.
I said, I said, Morovia. He took a whole week. He looked for Ase Vatopa and gained the $100. The $100, I want one share, Mr. Dwalu said, all of them buy shares so we can develop our country. They're not all. I got young boys, pimping drivers. He said, Mr. Dwalu, Uncle Obi, when you come, we'll put our money together, we won't buy a share. The people, when they put their money there, they will protect it, they will not destroy it. This is the reason why I believe it will succeed. And not just in Liberia, even here in the diaspora. In fact, my brothers in Norway and Sweden, they get involved. Oh, Mr. Dwalu, when you come to us too, I tell you, we'll come there. So when we all join hands, this thing has no other way but to go up. This is why I'm confident because Liberians are receptive of this.
Perfect. So then that brings me to another question.
Yeah.
With all the economic challenges that Liberia faces, what do you see as the single most urgent issue that needs to be tackled in order to make these types of investment successful in the long term?
Let me tell you this. There is tremendous opportunity in chaos. Liberia is currently a chaotic society. So were the Ghanaians, so were the Rwandans and the Ethiopians. Let me tell you what we need to do. And your question is poignant, and it's to the point. Now, what's the first thing we need to do? One of the things that I've gotten guarantee for, that I push for, and there are no guarantees in life, the president of the Republic of Liberia, say, Mr. Dwalu, anything you want to do will open any door to make sure the cooperation is successful. I'm not saying that's going to guarantee the corporation's success. But what I'm saying is one foot in the door. I have senators and representatives calling me, Mr. Dwalo, we want to buy a share as well. So the powers on the ground, they are already seeing this vision, knowing that if we come into the country and we go into Secretary and we build a rubber manufacturer over there, it's going to help that location. In fact, I hate to invoke the president. Senator Prince Johnson came to our in Liberia. He called me and said, "Oh, Dwalo, come see me, my son. I got a bunch of pictures here. Come see me, my son. Let's talk." You see, I heard about your cassava consolidation operation. If you get ready, I will give you the whole of Dima County for you to be able to look for the cassava. Any cassava people play in the country, we can buy the cassava for them, ship them to the Chinese market. He said, when you're ready, I will hold your hand and take you to Dima County. And I've gotten this from all our representatives and senators. So the issue in Liberia, I understand the issue about law enforcement. I understand the issue that we say the courts are right. I understand that. But small, we have to shine light into the country to do enterprise, to do economics. Because as Liberians start making money, they themselves will be forced to change their minds and attitude. It forces the government to reorient to the direction of the people. And that's the intent of the cooperation.
Thank you very much. Again, that'll take us to another question. There's a couple of questions coming your way. But we're living in a time where technology seems like technology is what drives the world. And everything, so to speak. So what role do you see technology playing in the future of Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund? First,
it's the only way forward. It's the only way forward. Angie, let me tell you something. My nephew, he taught himself how to code in Liberia. He sat in the room literally every day learning coding. They got a lot of young Liberians graduating from the various universities. Their skills are dying because their skills are not being harnessed through honing that skill. Like when you and I graduated from college, we went to work, we graduated hone our skill, right? So we were given opportunity to do that. In Liberia, most of the kids, they understand the computer. They just need to be helped in the direction that we can elevate down through the cooperation, because I intend to have several businesses within the portfolio of the corporation. The corporation is not going to be just one business. Maybe we invest in poultry farming, or we invest in pig farming, or we invest in the fishing industry. So all of these will be run now. We'll have computer guys for all these things that we are doing. In fact, one thing I've done, I pulled my website. I'm trying to pull the website from Wix to give it to a Liberian to manage the site. It's a way to hone another Liberian skill. Hopefully we can get a young man from back home to be able to take care of the site, update the site so he can hone his skill. And the only way that can happen, we got to do it through business, to do it done everywhere else. When the young kids graduate from Star University in Liberia, they're going to sit at home. So all the things they learn, they're forgetting. But if we come in, we bring in a call center where you get a whole IT division with 200-300 young men. That's how we started honing the skill, and that's what we intend to do.
Excellent. So then we'll pivot a little bit from the questions here. We want to go, not that we're diving into politics, because the We2r Liberians Movement acknowledges that while it's true that politics is often cited as one of the primary challenges facing Liberia, we believe that the core issue lies in the mindset of the people. And I like the fact that you keep talking about that. The quality of individuals the country produce and continue to produce plays a pivotal role in why the country is where she is.
Yeah.
So until we can change the mindsets of the people, we wouldn't be able to drive any change in the country. So now when it comes to politics, and we're not trying to get it, because in terms of safety, I want to put a man heart is where his treasure is. So if we're going to invest all this, considering the political instability in the country, what guarantee do we have? Now, because you did mention that, the government, those in high places are aware, they're going to support. How do we reconcile a country where, in terms of political instability, safety, rule of law, and all that, Yeah, walk us through what you think of that. What would be your take on it?
I want to tell you this: there are no guarantees in life. Of course, there's, but despite what anybody says, Liberia is a relatively safe country. We might have our issues. Um, I spent many months in Liberia at a time. It is very safe. Now there will be things where some people don't want you to break up a monopoly because they're benefiting from it. If you come to that, they will try to break it up. I understand that. We have a strategy for that. We have a strategy for instance, some of the foreigners that control the country, they don't want any competition. They will try to break us before we even land on the ground. We have a strategy for that. I will encourage people to read our strategy page, and we are coming in, not just having the strategy. I've studied it on the master's level in strategic management, so I understand this area. And I will say this: when we get on the ground, this is our heritage. This is our home. This is where we are from. We will make the right connection to make the right establishment to make sure the cooperation grows. Now, there is no guarantee. We understand that. We understand the sovereignty risk issue. We understand the instability of this location. We understand all of that. But guess what? There are people making millions of dollars every single month in Liberia. While we believe that if we take a little bit of risk, and that's going to hurt us. No, risk is necessary for success. And I think if we take the risk collectively, look, one of the easiest way to minimize risk is to pooling our efforts together, right? So if you should have lost $100 and your 100 people that pull your risk, each person only lost $1. So the risk is minimized to do sheer effort. And this is what we intend to do. We're going to minimize the risk, but it be mere fact that a lot of Liberians are coming together. Somebody stands in the way, the people will speak. This is the people's business. We're going to use the people to promote this, and that's our goal.
Thank you. So we'll come back to our questions again. So if you're just tuning in, this is the We2r Liberians Movement platform. We have with us in studio the one and only Mr. Ansu Dualo, who is giving us some insight on this Liberia Diaspora Corporation, Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund.
Yeah.
So you're hearing from himself. But one question that I want to ask before I get to our question, I mean, because I hear you keep talking about this is what I'm going to do. Who are you backed by in terms of your executives? Who are your support system, other officials that you're working alongside with?
So currently, we are building the platform. We intend to build a board of directors. We've made contacted a few prominent Liberians. We're talking about from the diaspora. I'm talking about top level professionals to form part of our board. But currently, Asiva Topa is on the article incorporation. He will serve as the CFO. Fatuma, she's an Ivy League educated young woman. She will serve as the COO. And we will have to recruit maybe, I'd say, 4 more people to help us raise this money. To raise this money going to take a year. And through advertisement on the website, we are going to recruit the executives for the operation. The goal is to set up a board, a governance structure before a dime of the money is touched. So currently the money that are being raised is sitting in trust. They cannot be touched until we fully raise the $25 million or until 1 year is over. And then whatever money we have in our account, we will move from there to be able to do what we have to do. So right now, the team is not fully built like anything or like the Facebook or Google or Amazon started. It starts with one man and then gradually expands over time. So gradually we're going to expand, but currently I'm backed by 10,000 Liberians that are so excited about this operation to see it successful so we can build something in the country that we control,
Perfect. All right. So then let's get to another question. So what role do you see? I think we talked about that. Let's get into this one question that I really wanted to ask, and that has to do with you work with. Have you worked with local partners in Liberia to facilitate any investment type of something along those lines in Liberia, or this is your first initiative?
No, actually, I ran a company in Liberia for 10 years. I partnered with a bunch of people. I partnered with some of the Arabs on the ground. I did a contract for the U.S. Embassy, the Chinese, the German in Liberia. My operation did that. The metal steel Real Line Construction. I supply them. Kenija Hotel, my company supplied them in Liberia. Even during Ebola, I supply all the U.S. troops that came to the country, the hand sanitizers and the porta potties. I was supplying them. So I've done. I understand the dynamics on the ground. Um, but Liberia is a complicated place. But let me tell you one beautiful thing about Liberia. If you're present on the ground, which the corporation will do, all the executives will be present on the ground in Liberia, you have a greater chance of success because you can actually push your agenda the way you see fit. Liberia has a lot of room for growth. So literally everything you get involved in Liberia is extremely green. And the biggest thing that is required is guidance and leadership. Once you put that into place, it becomes successful. Yeah.
Great. So we're about 40, I would say about 41 minutes into the interview tonight, and we want to encourage our listeners or our viewers to. We have a number up here. If you have any question, you have any concern, we do have the website also that is posted. Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund.com. So there where you can go and get more information about this corporation. And then we also have the number that's posted out there, 774-578-1963. If you have additional questions to ask Mr. Dualo tonight, because you'll be hearing from him. And he's open to, questions, maybe behind this interview. You can give him a call personally. He's really open to it. I was able to pretty much just reach out to him by means of Facebook, and we went back and forth. Here we are today. We set up this interview. So then, like I said, we're getting close to.
So we're getting a call here. Let me answer this first call.
So you want to hear the audio?
Yeah. Call man, you're live. Hello.
Yeah, how are you?
Not too bad.
Yeah, I was calling the show. We got a few questions.
Yeah, can you lower your phone in the back, please?
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, can you lower the stuff in the back, please, so we can hear you?
Yeah, it's completely low.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a few questions for traveling that because I went over the website and I had some concern for my own business background and tax purposes and all of that. So one of my concerns is I see the equity fund is charging $10 for overhead funds. And I said if today everybody bought all the share, which would be 27 million.
No, 2.7.
I come here, I say if everybody bought all the share now, we're talking about 2.7 million,
Correct.
Which is overhead cost.
Yeah.
And I was thinking from my background, does that include operational overhead or does that include just getting the corporation set up and stuff like that?
Okay, that's your first question. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate your call and we appreciate this. Let me ask you a question. Do you know how much it costs to raise $1 in America?
It's anywhere between 65 to 90 cents depending on.
Okay, yeah, on the high end it's 65 cents. Yeah, on the high end it's 65 cents to 90 cents, but typically it's between 10 cents to 50 cents. So the reason why we're charging $10, it is actually 2.7 if we end up raising, if we sell all this share. But this is not money that is coming to me. This is money will be used to raise the money. It costs money to raise the money. And all of that will be reported to the state of Massachusetts and reported to the shareholders. And the reason for that thing is they're not coming in at one time. They are coming in increments. So we will travel around the globe. We use the fee. When we bring on board computer experts to manage the site, we got to pay him. When we bring on board people that are traveling, we got to get them stop in to be able to travel. The plane ticket, the hotel fees, all around, it costs money. So typically to raise $20 million in America, it will cost you anywhere from $2 to $4 million. Now, because we did not have anybody to give us a $2 or $4 million upfront, we decided to make sure we ourselves, we share the cost of raising the money. So that's the reason for the $10 fee.
Your next question, so sir. He has more questions.
Yeah, question is for tax purposes. So you this because the setup of the organization is confusing, most especially for tax purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm buying share,
Mm-hmm.
I got share in that business,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to do my tax.
Mm-hmm.
Is the equity form I give me document in order for me to file my tax if I create any equity in the business?
Thank you very much.
That would be my next question.
Okay, so no corporation here in America gives you anything when you have not sold your share. The only time you pay tax for share ownership is when you sell your shares. So right now we are raising the money. So you don't go report. So for instance, if you bought a share at $90 and then God help us, we invest in a few things and now your share price is worth $500 per share. When you sell that share, the government will take something called capital gain tax. That's usually run around 35% of that money. So you will pay tax at that time when you sell.
So that's why I asked it. So
Yeah.
are you going to, because in order for me to pay tax, you have to register as an equity form to the tax system.
Yes.
Meet the criteria that the business register equity form in Massachusetts tax system.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, the federal government of the United States and the state of Massachusetts. It's on the website. If you went on the website, you should see that. So the tax ID, everything is there.
Yeah, generating tax ID is different thing, right? Having an equity fund is different thing. That's why I'm asking. Because I can open a corporation and say like, all right, if you come in my business, it's different thing. But for me to register as an equity fund, I can use any equity fund. That's one thing. Registration as an equity fund, it has to meet certain standard because it has to be guaranteed and it has to be backed. So that's why I'm asking. Because when you don't have an equity fund, you can just go say, oh, I want to open an equity fund. You know that you from the financial background. It has to have certain guarantor and certain backing that if I invest my money, I sign a certain document, it takes risk and other things, which I never saw when I did review the documentation online and stuff like that. So that's why we're confused. Is a real equity fund or is a development fund? Because it's a development fund is different from an equity fund.
So I want you to ask a question now. You say you went on the website, whether it's real or this. First of all, no corporation in America gives you a guarantee. So if you say you want a guarantee that is not true, I want you to go anywhere. If they give you a guarantee, they're lying to you. Nobody gives you a guarantee. This is a registered incorporated organization in the United States. If you went to the state of Massachusetts website, to the Secretary of State, you type in the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund, it will come up. Whether as to what name you call it, it doesn't matter. The reason why Mark Zuckerberg calls it Facebook, anybody can decide why they call their corporation what they call it. So whether it's an equity fund, equity just means ownership. Okay? If you have no question, give me. Thank you, brother. Let's take more call here. Thank you for your call. We appreciate it.
So again, calling. Thank you very much for calling, brother. If you don't have additional questions, then we'll move on to our next caller. We have the number there to participate in the show. 774-578-1963. Website there you can see Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund.com. So calling and to hear from the CEO yourself.
Yes. Calling to have a conversation. Anything you disagree with, let's talk about it. Guys, I want us to understand something though. Nothing starts perfectly. There is no corporation that you see, the mega corporation, the JP Morgan Chase. I don't know if you know the history of JP Morgan. If you talk about FedEx, these corporations never started with all the whistles and bells you see them with today. It was begun with one man. But what we've done and what they did do was to make sure everything we do is legal. Everything we do is registered and incorporated. So the brother asked us some good questions, but nobody pay tax when you don't sell your share. If you buy stocks, you buy bonds, you don't pay no tax until you sell. When you don't sell, the reason why you see rich people in this country, they keep reinvesting is because they don't want to pay the tax. So if you don't sell, you don't pay tax. But the day you sell, you will pay tax. Okay. However, every fee that you pay, we will have to pay tax on that fee, and we'll have to report to the government, and we have to report to you as shareholders. That we will do. So everything we do is going to be open, register. Anybody can take a look at it. If you buy a share, you say, oh, let me see how much in the account. We'll send it to you. We're not going to pay for your mailing. You're going to pay for the mailing, and you're going to pay for the processing, and we'll send it to you. But if you see me and I come to your time and say, oh, Mr. Dwyer, let's look in the account. Open my phone, you look in the account, you see how much we get there. And you can see although I can show you the people name that are paying, but I can show you the total amount. So, guys, I understand, but I don't want us to try to say, because it's not like Fidelity, that means it's not an equity fund. Or it's not like this, that means it's not big yet. Nothing started big. Fidelity, go to the history of Fidelity. Go to the history of, I don't know, Amazon. Amazon was begun in a warehouse, selling books. Today it's a $4 trillion business. FedEx, Facebook was started in a college dorm room. So everything started at a very small level. Barnes & Noble, I could go on and on. Even McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken that we see today. It's a massive corporation. Somebody started in the kitchen. So it's not going to be a giant. We don't have a corporate headquarters. We don't have an office. In fact, almost everything I'm doing it from right in my home office space right now as we speak. And as we grow, as we get more fees, we are going to get an office space. That's what we intend to do.
So again, call in to participate. The number is right there, 774-578-1963. You can see the website. This is the We2r Liberians Movement Platform. We're here with Mr. Dwalo and Sue Dwalo, founder and CEO of the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund. So again, I have a couple questions for you. I don't know if you're ready for me there. You know, many of our listeners are also passionate about social justice and community development. The real question I want to ask, what does the LDEF, I would just say Liberia Diaspora.
Yeah, all right. I called it myself.
LDEF. Okay. And show that its investment strategies and business initiative aligns with Liberia's social justice need and contribute to addressing issues like poverty, education, and healthcare. No, we're talking about the money. We're talking about all these different corporations, people doing this, but those are areas too that we need to kind of focus on. So how, the question now, how does it contribute to addressing, you know, issues like poverty, education, and healthcare?
We are not a social platform. We are for profit business. However, if you went on the site and you listen to our platform and the vision for the corporation, we will be doing a lot of social responsible things in the country. For instance, let's say we have a small factory in We2r, and the We2r public school, we might team up with them. Maybe we build a cafeteria through the corporation, or maybe we volunteer 3 or 4 of our workers to make sure they teach our We2r public school. That's how we're going to address, for instance, social justice in the country. The goal of the corporation is to reorient the minds of the people. I want to say this, though. Social justice cannot happen in the absence of extreme poverty. It is impossible. So our goal is to change an environment in a way where we can groom a different mindset that actually looks toward justice and social justice. Social justice tend to happen almost naturally if the environment is created. Our goal is to create that enabling environment in collaboration with whatever the government has going on, but to create that enabling environment where we create jobs in the country, where we bring in top-level Liberian professionals, where we build institutions, I'm talking about private corporate institutions across the country, to give our people jobs and create a middle-income country. That's the ultimate goal of our corporation.
Excellent. That's a great response. And then that leads me to another question. As an organization with global reach, because that's exactly what it is. You have like the diaspora includes Liberians
Everywhere.
from all, I mean, everywhere, so to speak. So now, how does LDEF, I'll call it real quick, plan to engage the next generation of the diaspora? You know what I mean? The youth who may, you know what I mean, just be starting to think about how they can contribute to Liberia's future, because you know we have them all around the place.
A lot of Liberia, whether people notice it now, I hear people say, oh, Liberian children, a lot of the younger children between 19 and 27, they're going to college a lot more. If you notice across America, like a lot of Liberian children are going to college, and nearly every single one of them are having that connection back to the parents' country or to their own country. So what's happening here through the corporation, and this is something we can't talk about because we have not birthdays, is to try to infuse these young people. Say, listen, Timothy, you're out of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. You just graduated from the University of Minnesota in a field in accounting. come down to Liberia. We will pay you comparable wage and work in the accounting division over there. And you try to get these young people to reconnect to the country. That's how we intend to engage them, because the kids are much smarter than we are. They are learning the computer skills that we just spoke about. They understand the global environment. They understand the way the world works. And you can use them now when you get to Liberia. You team these young people or other young people in the country to impact some of that knowledge. It's part of the vision of the corporation. Remember now, the corporation vision is holistic. It's to create a viable society that we have been so far behind. Is to create communities back in the country that we can be proud of. And this is the aim. So we incorporate these young people in some fashion. That's what we intend to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Real quick, call again to participate. We about 55 minutes, pretty close to an hour. We're going to just cut this thing up right around an hour. So now we're concluding. And Mr. Ansu, I really want to thank you for those powerful words. Thank you so much for being here tonight or today, for sharing your insights. And I mean, it's just pretty much amazing work that you're doing. And we pray that this thing would pick up and would make some kind of long-lasting, sustainable change in our country, because that's exactly what we aspire for.
Mm-hmm.
So now, that'll bring me to, should I say, another question? But I'll save it and then go back to callers. If we don't have any caller, then maybe we'll ask our last question. That will be your closing remark. What encouraging word do you have out there? Because there's some of our kids. Though we're doing all this, you have the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund Corporation, but there are a lot of our kids down there that are hopeless. Because I was in Liberia in September. They're hopeless, they're helpless, no hope. I mean, they're in I'll call it the majority. Hopeless.
Super majority.
Yes. So what word do you have to encourage a young man who is hopeless, who feels as though there's no way out?
Yeah.
Because the real truth, I was out there. My thing is, I go there, motivate, get hope to the hopeless, because I was in the same situation. If we can move, travel with some level of opportunity to be here and make something of yourself, what do you have to say to some kid who's out there who feels like there is no hope?
I want you to understand, a lot of those are not even kids. They're well over 25. But they have no hope. And it's a truism that is almost assured throughout the country. And I will continue to say that. And I want to speak first to my compatriots here in the diaspora, all across the globe, especially if you're located in the Western country. I know some of you may say, I've heard it saying, what some people can say, oh, Liberian people, they've been there too high. Me, I will never go back to Liberia. I play all kind of way. I understand that. But I want to say this to you, and I will look you directly in the face and say this. If you've been fortunate, where God has blessed you to leave our poverty-stricken country to come to this location, you are on a bound duty from God himself to look back in some fashion. If we do not look back, we cannot give them hope. And most of these young men you're talking about, Brother Williams, is this. They just want a $200 a month job. A $200 a month. $300 a month. Look, do you know what you can do to the society if we create a $300 per month job guarantee for these young people? Yes, there will be some that will steal. Yes, there are no guarantees that these people will follow structure. Yes, they have never had a two-parent household. Yes, there will be difficulties. I understand this. But we must start from somewhere to begin changing the conditions in the country. To bring hope back, we must bring employment. We must bring the brothers and sisters back. We must bring electrification. We must bring small-scale manufacturing. We must bring a fishing industry. We must bring something that lifts the country in some fashion. And the only way we can do that is to use money. Is to use money to build it. It's okay to go and give a speech. Look, you and I, when I get to Liberia, go to my boys at GSA Junction, go to Bonafide, go to GK. I will sit and talk to them. When you're done, they're going home hungry. The motivational speeches are great, but you cannot motivate under any circumstance an empty bag to have rice in it. You have to physically put rice in it, and then it will stand up because it's been motivated through structure. And to create that structure is what we are longing to do. So I will say to the young people back home, as we say back home, don't be deterred. Rest assured, we are fighting a massive battle that is greater than ourselves, and we will find a way to bring you hope. And our hope is not going to be void of ourselves where we just come into the country for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, and then we leave. We want permanence in the country where I'm permanently domiciled in Liberia, knowing that my presence there is going to create a kind of structure that's going to lift that bag of rice. And then we can strengthen the University of Liberia, maybe finance program or its engineering program. And we start having people come back to the country. Oh, listen, man, little brother Gawe, what are you doing in Providence? Oh, my man, I was teaching at a community college here. My man, listen, how about you come down? We go to Tubman University and you teach the same science you're teaching here. We'll pay you comparable wage through the corporation. You manage one of our division, but then you volunteer at Tubman University. So then gradually we are infusing some knowledge back into the country. This is the only way. Then now we can force the government to act because we are present in the country. Corporations can force governments to change in the direction that the people want. If we stay away, it's not going to happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dwalo. I am so excited. Again, overwhelmed. I'm out of words completely. There's no room for excuse. Morehouse College has a fraternity decree that says that excuses are tools for the competence used to build bridges to nowhere.
The Great Morehouse.
Monuments, yeah, of nothingness. So I like no. I went to a small private university called We2r. But I'm really intrigued by. I listened to a lot of Morehouse, great philosophers. I would say preachers and things like that. Really dry. They move me. So I think you being on the platform tonight speaks volume. Not only are you talking about this equity fund, but we're also encouraging young people. This is what it's about. It's about changing the mindset. We have this little thing that we say, not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. You want to empower people. You want to educate people. You want to sensitize and not only do that, but also to ensure that the country get to a place where she's comparable to other countries around the world. So that's exactly what we want. We want to thank you. Also thank our listeners for tuning in to another episode of the We2r Liberians Movement. Remember, we are all part of this change Liberia needs. Follow Mr. Dwalo. Hopefully we'll bring him back. We don't have a lot of viewers, Mr. Dwalo, when we're
trust me.
But there'll be people who are going to follow. We're going to watch this after this. And I'm just out of words. Thank you again. This is the We2r. I've been your host.
Yeah.
What would be your last word?
My last word, we2r Liberians.
Yes.
And the Liberian citizenship is not just something you hold. It's a greater obligation, a greater duty that we cannot neglect. You cannot say we2r Liberians and you say, you know what, I'm going to be permanently domiciled here. I'm going to send $20 home. They can take care of that. That duty to be we2r Liberian extends towards us doing something in the country that's going to perhaps change the current country, Mr. William. Look, listen. Our country is dying. The leadership of our country, sometimes they forget about the awesome responsibility that they must shoulder. And the neglect of that responsibility actually hurts the buck of the country. We are putting our graduates that are not comparable, cannot compete on equal footing with graduates across the globe. Not because the kids are in a dumber, but because the institutions themselves are not fully equipped to educate our kids properly. We must find a way that we too can come to the country and say, you know what, run AME Zion, I will teach a couple of classes here when I come from work in the evening, or on a Wednesday, it will be part of my spare time to gradually infuse some knowledge back into our people. Look, if you can get 10 PhDs, if you don't pass that on, it will completely useless. Are we going to live a useless life, or are we going to build something in the country for all the posterity? I don't want you to think about the corporation as something to make money, although our primary duty is to the shareholders. I want you to think about something that will be transformative to our country. Maybe you and I may not become the full beneficiary of what the Diaspora Corporation is going to do, but our children may, where we can compete on equal footing, where we are not subjugated in our own country and become store boys, and somebody can live on the third floor and the zinc water is running in our bedroom because we're living on the bottom floor in our own country. This has to change. We must control commerce in the country. And the only way we can do that is the way everybody else has done it. This is not my world. Look to history. If you think about the JP Morgan Stanley, they pull resources. If you think about the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, they pull resources. If you think about Peng out of China, they pulled in resources. Out of Singapore, South Korea, they pull resources and they built something. And 25 million became 50 million. It became 100 million. It became 100 billion. It became $2 trillion. This is how something is built. It's not going to be perfect from the beginning, y'all. But we got to start from somewhere. I don't want you to worry about the issue of losing your money because you're going to go jolly way. I have no inkling about this. Right. I have no concern about this. In fact, this is why I say your money will remain in trust until the money is raised. I don't want nothing to do with the money. I just want to bring my mind so we can start a pepper industry where we are shipping $20-30 million worth of pepper out of Liberia to the sub-region. This is my vision. This is the dream that I want. Where maybe perhaps we build the first skyscraper in Liberia that is the headquarters of the Liberian Diaspora Corporation. I want you to think about the possibilities of what this can be birthed in Liberia, our country, where we take full control. And we're grooming Liberian millionaires for Cape Mount County. We're grooming Liberian millionaires. As we close today, I want you guys to understand we have a duty, and each of us must shoulder that duty so we can distribute the weight across us. So one person can carry that load and he or she crumbles a 2 mile. This is a journey of a lifetime. I will leave you with the Chinese. Every journey of 1,000 miles start with one step. And I want us to take that step together. It was a pleasure, Brother William.
Certainly was a pleasure. Again, thank you very much for coming. I think we had a phenomenal time.
I agree.
It was a great conversation. I look forward to having you back on the show. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, Frederick Douglass, I want to close with this. Frederick Douglass once said, he said, it is much better to raise strong children than to repair broken men. So
yes.
Let's start now.
Yes.
I think this is the perfect, just like you alluded to, the mandate allotted to us is to actually begin now. Now is the time. So thank you very much. This is We2r Liberians. I've been your host. And I look forward to seeing you. You have a great, pleasant night. God bless.
Yeah, We2r Liberians. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Simple life. It's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter.